pushed down. And that's what we're going to be doing today, except we're going to start at the top of the slide because I like organization. So, C0, C1, what's the motion there?
Flexion extension.
So, if this is the occiput, it's sitting in on top of the atlas when the occiput is convex. The atlas is concave. And so what's the most common motion that's affected at C0, C1?
Flexion.
Flexion. Not saying extension can't be lost, but we're going to teach you how to improve flexion because 9.5 times out of 10 that's going to be the restriction. So if I want to roll my head forward, chin nod, it's going to be a blank roll, anterior roll. So we're going to glide C0, posterior. So we're going to do that by taking the occiput, and we are going to be pushing through the jaw, through the forehead, or the forehead through the shoulder, posteriorly into a chin nod position. The biggest mistake we do, once again, is instead of a chin nod, we do a posterior shear down here. You're going to feel a lump in your throat, so we're going to try not to do that. So that'll be the first one. But while we're here, let's do CPAs and UPAs. What was PA in MS1? Posterior to anterior. So CPA is central posterior to anterior. So if we're saying central, what should we have our hands on? So a CPA just means I'm doing a posterior to anterior pressure on the spinous process. Is that a bilateral technique or a unilateral technique? UPA, unilateral. No, that's a good guess though. It's a unilateral posterior to anterior pressure. What should we have our hands on?
One side, transverse process.
Transverse process and or the articular pillar. So here's our CPA. We're not going to use thumbs, but you get the right idea. Here's a CPA. Here is a UPA or a UPA. On the neck, it's the same thing. CPA, 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 UPA. What's the direction of our glide? Posterior to anterior. In what direction? 45 degrees. So the eyeball's right here, 45 degrees. We're going to be pushing that way. Down in the thoracic spine, same exact concept. The only difference is it's no longer 45 degrees. It's
60.
Nice. Good job. Okay. Transverse glides, we're not going to do it this side. Actually, we can. It's easy to see on the model. Transverse glide, all these are the same. Like CPA, UPA, transverse glides, lateral glides, they're all the same, whether you do them on these bones or these bones. So conceptually, they're the same. Certain techniques are easier in certain areas than others. So for example, a transverse mobilization, easier here than it is here. A transverse glide or side glide, easier here, impossible here. So just be aware of that. Transverse glide is what motion?
Rotation.
So we're going to be on the side of the spinous process, pushing that way. Rotation. You could do that on the stomach. You could do it, stay, on the side, pushing down. It's all rotation. So if they have a rotation problem, it's a good one to do. So UPA, CPA, CPA, UPA, transverse glide. And I'm going to use one of them just so they can feel it. And C0, C1, flexion. It's a posterior glide of C0 on C1. All right, let's see what they all feel like. Someone jump up.
Let's give it this part. This way?
On your stomach, spine, we'll start there. CPA. Biggest mistake we make. What color is my finger? White. White. Don't do that. Your finger should not change colors. How do we know you're doing the appropriate force? If your fingers change colors, you're not doing the right force. So When it comes to the cervical spine, this can be very tender. So what you want to aim to do, you have different options, and it's just what's appropriate for your patient. So I like to rest the hand on whatever segment I want. So we're gonna say C2. I'm gonna take, this is now, I'm in my spot, I'm good. It's dead weight. Now I'm gonna take my other hand and it's gonna go on top, but that will be pushing straight down. Do I wanna push straight down?
45.
Good. So I wanna get on top to make sure I'm pushing towards the eyeballs. I am not pushing with my left hand, I am pushing through my chest, through my arms, towards the eyeballs. Sound good? You can also,
Okay, easy.
here, and you could use thenar eminence or thumb. So thumb, my wrist doesn't move that much.
Oh, be careful.
Almost killed you.
Are you like this?
I'm on these parts of the joints here.
Okay.
Okay. So here, thenar eminence onto my joint. Pushing up. 45 degrees. Right hand is not pushing, it's dead weight, just a place marker so that I stay on the bone. This, you guys will have more flexibility through your hands. I just don't have it, sorry. All right, so that's neck CPA. Neck UPA, same exact thing. The only difference is instead of my finger here, my finger's gonna be right off onto the side. Here, or here, or here. No difference. Just shimmy over. Good? So when you're giving feedback, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4.
Okay.
Good. CPA, that's where we get into hand placement. You have many options. Some are easier than others depending on your body type. I can extend my wrist. So for me, I use C, find the bone with your pisiform, roll off onto your thenar eminence so that it's not tender. Pressure through your chest, arms, down onto that segment, CPA. Roll right off of it, UPA. Roll off of it even more. Ow, it's a rib. Good. So make sure that you know where you're at. Spinous process, transverse process / articular pillar, rib. When you're on that area, you can do, don't do thumbs. It's too big of an area. You can do C grip, you can do wrist, you can do V, you can do bilateral TP. All are appropriate. Except you can't do bilateral TP if it's a unilateral problem. That does make sense.
Is your direction of force?
Straight, no, that was straight down. That was, so straight down is gonna be extension. That's a great question, good job. Straight down is extension. If I wanted to, which is most common with thoracic spine. If you wanted to flex, I would switch my hand to my right. I just do a skin lock underneath the spinous process, and I would be pushing basically up towards her eyeball. So it's more this way.
It's the eyeball with thoracic spine.
No, just giving you the general
Okay.
frame of like, it's very easy to imagine extension down, but it's pretty sharp turn when you are going towards, not eyeball really, but this direction.
Okay.
Good 60-degree angle for flexion. And then transverse process, we shimmy in next to the spinous process with the muscle pull, getting it out of the way. That's just a place marker. Hand goes in. And transverse, which is rotation. That's easy if you have very prominent spinous processes. So we have extension, flexion, write down all the different hand positions, because we won't like when we see hyperextended fingers. By we, I mean me. Hopefully you. And then transverse glide, use your arm or your body. UPA, same exact thing, just shimmy over half an inch onto the TPs. And CPA, CPA, UPA, UPA, grades 1 through 4.
So it's the same for the neck, it's extension straight down, and for flexion it's up towards the eyeballs.
No, it's going to be 45 degrees for both.
Okay.
It's going to be just which bone are you on.
Gotcha.
Sorry, here we go. Grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4. You're going to feel a lot of this when you go around. This is past the anatomical barrier. Good. All right, flip over. That wasn't enough. Good. Can someone raise the table for me?
Right up there.
You guys get the table.
Thank you.
More?
Yeah, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Good. Okay, so you can go through TMJ. They should basically feel a stretch behind the top part of their neck. Don't get discouraged if some of these work better than others. Everybody's body type is different, everyone's preference is different. You want to make sure you're promoting with your one hand a chin nod. Because remember, the glide is supposed to be posterior, not at the lower part of the neck, that's shearing. It's supposed to be at the upper cervical, occiput on C1. So I am under the occiput right now, so that I can promote, because remember, we have to move the joint through a physiological range, if we can. So I want to be able to promote a chin nod. And now when I'm promoting an osteokinematic chin nod, I want to then follow it up. I have a hand on your jaw. Posterior, take up slack in the TMJ. Posterior glide. Promote the chin nod. Posterior glide.
Stop laughing at my chins.
And then you can promote the shoulder, chin nod, glide.
So you could do jaw, forehead, or
Yeah, all are appropriate as long as you get a stretch in the back top part of the neck and it's comfortable for the person and for you, you're good.
Are you slightly distracted?
I do a slight distraction and a flexion, so I am promoting a chin nod, which is a distraction with an anterior roll. And then I am pushing that way for a posterior glide. That's the arthrokinematic. Good?
Nice.
I think that'll take us to the end of the day.
Take it.